Today I'm going to be going over my Glock 23 that you may have seen a few of my videos. I've had it for probably going on a couple years now, and it's actually been fairly reliable for me, even including a bunch of the upgrades and aftermarket parts I put on it. Some of it's going to be, like some of the trigger parts, when you start to go a little bit lower on the springs and stuff, obviously sometimes you might have a light fire pin strike, but when you start to do things like that, you do kind of compromise the, I don't know if I'd say the trustworthiness of it. It's less of a defense and carry weapon as it is more of a competition or just more of a custom lock. Well, this one's a 40 caliber Glock 23. You may have seen me state it as a 9mm, but that's only because I have a 9mm barrel. This one is a lone wolf 9mm barrel, and it's a 40 to 9 conversion, so which means it's for a Glock 23 because it's for 40 caliber obviously, and this one was meant to actually work reliably, but it's taken a while to break it in. But I would probably recommend another manufacturer just because of the fact that I've had a lot of issues on break-in on it. It's just taken a while to be a little bit more reliable, feed properly, things like that. So when I do the conversion, I always make sure it's empty. Basically, you just change the barrel out, use the factor recoil spring, and then voila, it's changed out and it's ready. It can be a little tricky to put on, but thread pitch is 5x28, and on this can, this is actually a Gemtech LID, or Nielsen device, recoil booster, whatever you want to call it. The tubing I got from Diversified Machine Co. They basically sell things for like solvent traps, which I'm sure they would work good, but for my application I just needed the threaded tube. Like I said, it had a little adapter that went to the Gemtech Nielsen device, and threads were nice and tight. They work out real well. It's actually one of the nicest tubes that I actually have, and end caps. For the price, it's a pretty good deal. When you change over to the 9mm, you have to use a 9mm magazine. 9mm will go in 40, but some of the issues you may have is whenever you load it up really big. See, that's a 40 magazine right there. But whenever you load it full, sometimes the rounds will tend to pop out, especially like if you have the slide open and you hit the magazine in, you might have a bullet pop out inside your chamber. It's one thing to take into consideration, but if you have your slide closed, you usually won't have one pop out whenever you're shooting. But if you just get a barrel and you're in a pinch, you can use a 40. I wouldn't trust it as far as defensive carry. I'd definitely break down and get you a 9mm magazine. You can get them fairly cheap. I've got a little +2 faceplate on it, so it's 15 + 2, it's about a 17 round. Not bad for a mid-sized pistol. But so with upgrades I have on it, I went with one of the Ghost Ink kits. It comes with a 4-pound spring and a 6-pound fire pin spring. Also a plunger spring and the trigger spring. What I basically did to mine is I put the lightest fire pin spring in, and then obviously I changed out the other 2 springs they give me. But whenever I ended up changing the spring out, I was afraid I was going to mix up the different springs that I had because they're pretty similar. So I went ahead and wrote down my own little notes and description of what each one looks like, because that's going to save you a headache in the future. The kit also comes with like a little punch to push out your pins for breaking it down and stuff, which is pretty helpful. This is a little higher dollar kit. I just wanted more options to play around with it because that was the first kit I ever bought. I do have the extended mag release on there. I have a Zev trigger in there. That was basically, I replaced the trigger and the trigger bar, because this is my factory one that I have right now. So that was the whole assembly that I just changed out. And as you can see, the trigger's pretty smooth. Might be a little hard, but the trigger's pretty smooth right there though. And a little slide release. I also changed out the connector, which is right here. That is, this one came with a little tab on it that you could file down for an over travel stop. And you know, slow and steady, that wins it right there. You just gotta kind of creep up on it, but it's fairly nice. I mean, it's fairly light. Sometimes I won't fire some of my rounds, like I said. I've tried a wide array of ammo, and definitely I've noticed with like the steel cased ammo, the primer's a little bit harder to strike. But I quit buying steel case a little while back. I just had too many malfunctions and too many firearms. I do like the Federal aluminum case. That does, it's been fairly reliable in most of my firearms as far as pistols. 9, 40, 45. It's, I recommend it more than steel, that's for sure. So, this can is for 9mm, obviously, because that's what I put through it. That's what the baffles and end caps and everything are sized to. I've shot about, I think I bought 5 boxes, so it's about 250 rounds, so I've shot just a little over 200 rounds of this Browning 147 grain. And the Browning 147 grain, it's kind of like tapered, I guess you could say. I mean, in the case, it's a little dark. I don't know if it's a nickel case or what it is exactly, but it shot fairly reliably through the pistol. You know, 9mm, it's not super quiet, subsonic, but it's as quiet as you're gonna get it, I guess. You might be able to try some other types of ammo. I haven't really bought any other kind of subsonic ammo to test compared to that, especially with the chronograph. But maybe if I come across some, maybe I'll update that. And you never want to forget about your Form 1. That's for sure. It took me 11 months to get it back because I filed it online, and application process is slow, that's for sure. So if you're thinking about doing it, as soon as you know what, ballpark what you want, you basically just have to state your length, that your guesstimate length, and what size it might be, caliber. Obviously, it's a silencer. You have to assign a serial number for it, a model number. I just gave it a generic serial number. You just make up anything because it's an application to make and register a firearm, being a silencer. I made my model number M9. I just thought that was kind of neat. One of the things, a holster that I like to use a lot is this Alien Gear. I think it's the 3.0, I want to say. The little case is, it's made for a Glock 23, but my Glock 26 fits in it okay. I haven't tried a Glock 22 because I don't own one at the moment. But I was really against trying one of these wide holsters. It just looks so uncomfortable. But I used to carry like the little Kydex with a 1 belt clip and the appendix carry, and that just started to irritate me real bad for a while. And it took me a while to really like carrying at the what do you say, about 4 to 5 o'clock, or anywhere from 3 to 5. You shouldn't carry at 6 o'clock because it hurt your spine. But with this, it actually matches the natural curvature of my hip. and it's fairly comfortable on the back side because it's got more of like a neoprene type of material. Lifetime warranty. You ever buy a new gun, you can mail them the shell. They'll mail you a new one. I strongly recommend it. Yeah, this is one of the nicest ones I've ever had. I find it that if I don't wear it, then I'm not going to carry a gun. Well, you know, with this, it's just so comfortable. I mean, even in the summer, it makes you sweat a little bit, but it's still pretty comfortable, I have to say. Like I said, I used to carry a single point, hook on like a Kydex holster. It was very uncomfortable. I always found it rotating and shifting when I had it inside my pants. But with this, it's got 2 points of, attachment, and you can also adjust the height and the cant of it. So that comes out, it's pretty beneficial. I haven't tried all the other ones. I know several other people have reviewed different types and makes and models. I searched for a long time what I think I might like, and this turned out to be pretty well. Made in America, lifetime warranty. It's really hard to beat. Coming back to the Zev trigger, with the different connector and the different springs for the Glock, I mean, it only gets so good. With the Zev trigger, I did notice that it did make it a little bit more, a hair softer and a little bit more crisp. I did realize that. I don't know if it's worth the extra money, but it is nice to have. But like I said, I've got everything so low as far as like the pull weight that sometimes I'll have light firing pin strikes. I probably could put a spring in it's a little bit heavier, but in the factory it would be 5 pound back in there compared to the 4 pound. But it'd make it a little bit heavier. This is basically my play gun. Okay, so today we're on the range now. We're going to try this Lone Wolf 49 conversion barrel. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot 2 rounds of 150 grain Perfecta supersonic ammo. And then I'm going to shoot 2 rounds of the Browning 147 grain subsonic ammo, non-suppressed. And then I'm going to repeat the same steps while suppressed. So here we go. Start a little high to the right. Now these 2 are going to be subsonic. Got one actually on the bullseye. So we're going to be safe while we put this can on. Make sure there's no bullets in it. 2 rounds of supersonic. Now 2 subsonics. That did not hold the slide open. Alright.